Okay, so we are recording, and we're going to go into Google Sheets. So on your Chromebooks, you need to find this icon. It says Sheets. It's green. You can search for it. And the people in class with me are already there. So if you're not there, pause the video. When you get into Sheets, you will want to start a blank spreadsheet. So a spreadsheet basically is a place you can make tables, you can make graphs from your tables, and we can program it to do formulas. So I'm just going to click blank. And the first thing you want to do when you get in here is name this. So up here where it says untitled spreadsheet, we don't want it to be untitled because later we won't know where it is. We are going to be doing some stuff from page 32 in our document. So I'm going to put page 32 space, and then put in your name. So I'm going to put my name on mine just to model what this will look like, because when this shows up and you're sharing it, it's just nice if your name's on it. Makes it easier for me to figure out. I mean, I can look at the email and all of that, but it's just nice. So you always want to title these. So this is page 32. And I'm not going to do everything the way that it is in the book. I might veer off of that a little bit. Basically, what we are looking at on page 32 is they're going to have us revisit that whale problem, where we had the whale populations, they had the growths, the depths, and then we had the native Alaskans who were hunting them. But we're going to do everything in a spreadsheet. And it's very similar to what we did on our graphing calculators. It's going to be fine. I'm just going to set this up a little differently. So you can see on here that you have just this giant table. Starting in A1, if you click in there, and I could have my keyboard, that might actually make this easier. There we go. So if I get on here, let me actually do that. I'm going to open this up and use my keyboard. So if I'm in that very first spot, we're going to put in year in the first blank, and then you can hit your right arrow, or if you're using the touch screen, you could just touch in the next one, and we're going to put in population. Actually, I'm going to change this because I feel like I'm going to say it's whale population. And what happens is sometimes these columns are not wide enough and it'll start taking up the next column. You can fix that if you click, see if I can do it. If you click on the little, come on, you have to do it with this since I'm using the keyboard. If you click on this up here at the top where it says ABC, you can stretch that out and make the columns wider if you want to, so that it doesn't run into and over column C. Okay, so over here to the side, we are going to set up a few things. We are going to say natural growth rate, and I'm going to make that a little bigger. And then next to that, I'm going to put hunting rate, because if you remember the whale problem, they were looking at the whale population, and we had the births and the deaths and all of that, but then they were also hunting. So the natural growth rate we already figured out was 3%. So what we're going to want this to multiply by every time is 1.03. So I'm going to have you put 1.03 underneath natural growth rate. And then over here under hunting rate in the original problem, they were allowing them to hunt 50 whales per year. So we're just going to put that there. And we're going to grab those numbers when we do the other thing. And actually, I'm trying to decide if I want to do that or not. We'll start doing it the way that the book does it, and then I'll show you some tricks. So to start with, we have the year 2001. Now, I know you guys hate typing or writing all of those years, 2001, 2002, 2003. What if you could tell your computer, your Chromebook in this case, to just make each blank below 2001 the next year.
How do I do it?
Guess what? You can do it. So arrow down to the next blank. So I am in space A3. So if you notice, there's letters across the top, numbers across the side. Think of it as sort of like a battleship. You can locate things using the letter and the number. We're going to put in a formula. So when you put in a formula, you have to tell the spreadsheet, in this case Sheets, we're putting in a formula. You're going to do that by hitting your equals key. And when you do that, you'll see up here it'll have f of x equals. And it's going to save that formula up here. It's like, oh, it's a function, f of x. All right, so what we're going to do is we just want to tell it to take the number above and add 1. So there's two ways we can do this. The number above is A2, so we can actually type A2 like this, A2, and just tell it plus 1. So right now we're just telling it to do for the one above. And then if you hit enter, magically you have 2002, and you're like, okay, that's 1 year, but what about the others? Now, if I go back up into that space, it'll say 2002 here, but if you look up here where the f of x is, it still has my formula, A2 plus 1. We're going to copy and paste that. So to copy this, you need to do Control-C. I'm highlighting where that formula is, where I typed it in. I'm going to do Control-C. When you do it, you're going to see this weird little dashy thing around it. It's waiting. And we're going to come down. We need to go all the way to 2005. So I'm going to make space for that, and I'm going to highlight 3, 4, 5. That's where it's going to go. Do you guys know the keystrokes for paste? Control-V. I don't know why it's V. But if you do Control-V, then it copies and pastes that formula, and it'll basically take the number above it and add 1 all the way down. So now under year, we should have 2001, 2002, 2003.
I mean, for every time it just adds, it's just 2002 every time.
Shouldn't be. I don't know. I would just try again. So the other way you can do this, let me delete these and show you the other way to do this. The other way to do this is you can push, if you're in 3 and you push equals, instead of typing A2, I can actually go up here and click on the space above, and it will automatically say A2. And I'm just going to put plus 1. And then you hit enter. Oh, I think I know what's going on with yours. I'll look at it here in a second. So then once I have that in there, I'm going to arrow back up, make sure I'm on the space where I have that. I'm going to do Control-C. And then I'm going to highlight where I want it to copy that. I'm going to go to 2006 this time just for the heck of it. You don't have to. So when it pastes, you see this little clipboard and the little pull down? You can have it paste values or format. So my guess is yours was pasting the value, and so it just copied and pasted the 2002, and you want it to paste format, I think. So if it didn't work, I think that's what you want to do. It gives you choices. Sometimes you do want to copy and paste a number, but if there's a formula there, you have the choice of doing either. Okay, so do we all have 2001 through at least 2005? Okay, so now you know how to make it do that. That was a simple formula. For some people, they think it's just easier to type that. That's fine. If you had to do 20 or 30 or 100 years, though, think about if you're actually studying a population of whales. Those studies have been going on for a long, long time. You're going to have decades. So this is nice if you can have it just fill in those decades and you don't have to type them all. It saves you time. Okay, so the whale population, we're going to use the 7,700 number for 2001 that it gave in our original whale problem, which is, I don't remember what page that was on. It was one of our problems we did. It was on page 29 if you wanted to look back at that. But we're just using the information from before. Okay, so there's a couple of ways we can have it fill in all these populations. If I go to the blank underneath where I just put in 7,700, which is the initial, I can put equals, and you can do this like we did on the graphing calculators and just go, okay, I want it to do 1.03 times. So for times, you do the asterisk, it's above your 8 key, or you can get it from different things if you're using the Chromebook keyboard just from the screen. And then you want it to do the 7700. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click 7700 if it'll let me. Oh, since I've got my keyboard out, I'm having to do it this way. So times, wait. Why isn't it doing that? Okay, hang on. Okay, equals 1.03 times, I'm going to click here. There it goes. And it should copy down B2 because that's where my 7700 is. And then minus 50 for what they're hunting. So they're growing 3%. The hunters were hunting 50. So we're just taking that 50 off. So this is basically what it would look like. Instead of putting an answer, which is what you do on your calculator, you just click in the cell. These are called cells, these little blocks above, and then hit enter. And you'll get the 7881. So let's make sure that worked for everybody.
I have no idea what's going on at this point.
Okay, so you need to be able to hear and see.
I can't see.
That you could move up. So in this blank, under the 7700, you're going to hit equals. You're going to type 1.03, which is our growth rate. You're going to hit times, which is the asterisk if you're using your regular keyboard. Then you're going to go and click, so you can, my cursor's on the, you're going to click that 7700, and it will copy B2. So in your cell, you're going to have equals 1.03 times B2, and then you're going to do minus 50. And you can just use your little dash key for minus if you're using the regular keyboard. When you hit enter, then it should calculate 7,881. Okay, and then we should be able to copy and paste that formula down. So I can go up, do Control C, and when you do Control C, you're going to get this little dashed box around the 7881, and then I'm just going to copy that down. So I highlight. Do you guys know how to highlight more than one cell at a time?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you do Control V, and it's going to give us these numbers. So let me get everybody to that point, and then I'm going to show you something cool that this does that your calculator doesn't.
Whenever I copy that, it copies down the B2 part, so it just gives me 90 or 7.
So have you tried clicking on the little clipboard and telling it to copy format, not copy?
I don't have a clipboard.
Okay, I don't know what's going on. I'll have to come look at it. So the next thing I was going to show you, you guys have all these decimals. While that's still highlighted, or you can highlight it again, everything with a decimal, there's a cool tool up above. Do you see where the $ and % are? Yeah. There's also some little decimal things. If I want fewer decimals, I hit this little 0.0 with the left arrow, and it'll take it down to 1 decimal, or I can take it down to no decimals, and it will round those numbers for you. So that's kind of cool. I'm going to just go ahead and stop this, and I'll make a new